War Pigs by Black Sabbath. You know, generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses.
Your singing must not do it justice because I do not recognize that song.
Craig knows.
I love disappointing you with my lack of pop culture knowledge from like 30 years ago.
Welcome to the Guys Who Cry
Podcast. Oh, that is not what I was expecting we were going to do. But at least we look good. Well, I do because of this new jacket that Ruben bought me.
Yeah. I
too.
am addicted to Facebook Marketplace.
It's a problem. But it's a problem for you for clothes, right?
Yeah, because like here's the thing. I love getting used clothes.
You're really good at it. You have a
really
talent, especially for other people.
Yeah. So like I saw this jacket that he's wearing. I'll show it off to the people. Show it off. If you guys are watching this, look at it. Look at the back. It's super snazzy, right? I saw it and I was like, Adam needs this because I'm pretty sure he has shoes that would match it too if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, hey man, I got you this jacket. If it doesn't fit you, it doesn't fit you. But it looks like it fits Pearl.
Fits very well, I will say.
And so I got it from him. I also got myself a pair of Doc Martens. Baby's first Doc Martens.
You gotta look hardcore, man. It'll go well with your lumberjack
boots.
Hipster
I definitely look like an Indian brawny man right now with my big beard.
No, but it looks good, man. I wish I could rock a beard like that, man. I'm always looking for very utilitarian things on Facebook Marketplaces, like mini fridges, wall decor, things that people are getting rid of that you know you can find a good deal on.
Yeah, like I'm so because at least with the online thing, the Facebook Marketplace, I'm a little bit more deliberate. When I'm at Goodwill, I buy the dumbest things because it's just there. I'm like,
we went together. What did you find? You found some really dumb stuff.
I don't know what I found when I was with you, but
I can't remember.
Oh, we found a pair of shoes that were really nice.
I did get those pair of shoes that we probably could flip. I'm still too lazy to do it.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Like I remember one time, and I still have it sitting in my house. It's like an Art Deco piece, but it's like a really old like film, projector.
Yeah,
it's like a Laurel, and it has like a Laurel Hardy movie with it.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, yeah, I need this. And it's
just like something to put on a table that looks cool. Yeah.
So like, eventually, when I move or have my own house, like I think it would be really cool up on a mantle. But like right now, it's just in my bedroom, and it just looks like, it's just collecting dust.
That's the cool thing about vintage items or older items is they're interesting discussion pieces when people walk in or having records out or bobbleheads or whatever. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, my records take up a lot of space.
I do have a lot of records.
I think all the time how much space I would actually have in my house if I got rid of my records.
But it says a lot about you. It says a lot about you being an audiophile and really appreciating music, in a way that I don't think I do.
Speaking of that, Greg introduced me to Heardle, which is the music version of Wordle.
Oh.
And I'm addicted. I'm more addicted to that than I am a Wordle.
We're very similar because both of us, we either know it in the first second or it's like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, like the two I haven't gotten were Ariana Grande's 7 Rings, I think is the name of that song.
No, I know that song.
I'm embarrassed that I got that. I'm very basic.
And then the other one was Rude Boy by Rihanna, which like I know the song, Come Here Rude Boy, but I just haven't listened to it enough to know like how it starts.
You know all the off-the-wall hipster stuff.
So, yeah.
That nobody else cares about? No, I'm kidding.
Club, what's up? It's funny you say that because I went down through like all of if I go through my Spotify real quick, the last couple songs that I like saved are like really popular samples. So like the one I have right now is like Cola Bottle Girl. Oh, Cola Bottle Baby.
Yeah, what is that?
Edwin Bird song.
Oh yeah,
like
that's
what was using
Daft Punk.
Yeah.
Oh. That does not help.
It's
the other one?
Faster, slower.
Yeah.
Oh, it comes from the Kanye West sample that for Stronger, I guess?
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha.
And then the other one I was listening to, every now and then I'll go into like a little smooth jazz. So like Herb Alpert's Rise came on. Yeah. And
oh yeah. I think,
there is the part where it's for like a really popular Biggie song.
Yeah. Can't you see?
That's the difference between an audiophile and someone who isn't an audiophile. You guys know the names and the titles and the albums and all. Everybody else just knows, oh, I know that beat because it was used in some other later song.
This is technically Whole Bottle Baby by Edward Birdsong.
Yeah, exactly.
I can tell you what real millionaire, beep, my car go, S car go.
Yeah, it's so dumb, dude.
Yeah, that's the difference for sure. I was going to say about, I think it's funny when you see guys like, who do a lot of flipping on Facebook Market or Goodwill. They say, oh, you could go in, you can make $50 profit on reselling this old crock pot or whatever, on Amazon or upselling it. And I'm like, yeah, but the amount of time and effort that goes into doing that every day would easily be a full-time job.
I'll tell you what.
It's cool.
Shout out to my brother. Because
he flips shoes, right?
He flips shoes. He is, oh my goodness, he's a genius. He's legitimately a genius. If he hasn't gotten it, if he hasn't gotten like the IQ test, he's 100% a genius.
I'm sure.
I'm sure. He figured out some weird algorithm where like he could buy video games, use video games at GameStop, and then trade them into Best Buy for like higher trade-in value.
You got in trouble, right?
Yeah, I mean, but it was it was a good idea. I was like, why? I mean, you weren't doing anything wrong. It was just like.
But it's not good for the companies.
Yeah,
that's all.
So it was just like he was able to pay for like a brand new like washer dryer.
It's a legal loophole. Yeah.
And like, but he does the same thing with shoes. So now like he has bots set up to buy like sneakers.
Yeah.
And then he'll like resell them. Like,
he's one of those guys. He ruins it for everybody else who just wants to have a cool pair of sneakers. But the thing is, like if you know how to do it, a lot of people do that. And until they are able to change that to prevent people from exploiting the system, then,
like, there were a pair of Crocs that I really wanted. The Salhay, whatever, Bremby.
Were they the new ones?
They were like the green, like they look really, really cool.
The new
and I was like, I really want to get these. They were only $120, but like the $120 was only taken out of your account if you won the drawing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder how much I could buy. Because I really liked them. I really would actually. Really cool. I went online, looked at what's $600 for like $110 like original buy.
Now I wonder if you wait a year or two, if they'll still be the same price, or if they will come down.
Or if they'll just go up.
Yeah,
sometimes that happens too. Like there's sneakers that are $1,000, like the Travis Scott.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's why I love buying that stuff from the unofficial websites, where you can get ones that like look exactly the same way, built the same way, and nobody knows. You just like the style of it.
Yeah, like the off-white.
It's so ridiculous. Yeah, I hate that stuff, but
so
I get it. Although it's stupid because I spend a lot of money on sneakers, but I always try to buy them on sale, even though there's still a lot of money. So it's still stupid.
Yeah, it's like original. It's like original price $1,000 on sale for $700.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, deal.
But it's funny because I've done that a couple of times, and I'm like, oh, I could sell these sneakers for more money now because I bought them at a really low price. But it's more effort. It's something else to think about, and it's not something I'm really.
Well, with like thrifting, all of that, there is a thrill of finding.
It's true.
Like a gem.
And actually reselling it. Yeah.
Like one of my favorite finds, I found a painting.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is a really cool painting. And at Goodwill, like it was only $5. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at it, I felt it. It was like actual paint.
Yeah.
I saw the name of the artist. The artist name was Morris Katz. Okay. And I was like, all right, let me look up this guy. So it turns out there's a whole Wikipedia page on him.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So he's in the Guinness Book of World Records. Did I say that right? Whatever. Yeah. For being like the world's fastest painter. And they called him the toilet paper painter because he would paint all of his paintings with a palette knife and toilet paper.
No way.
Wow.
And so I bought it for $5. And so I started going, this is what I do. I go on like the deep dive.
Yeah.
And I started looking his name up on Instagram, like hashtags, and I found a guy that was selling a piece. And I messaged him, I'm like, hey, so I definitely think I found a Morris Katz original, like, how much do you think I could get for it? He's like, honestly, like right now, like the market isn't really too crazy for him. It's only like, you could probably get like $50 for it.
Yeah.
He's like, but he was such a character. Like if they ever do like a documentary on him or like a movie on him, like he's like, that's just going to skyrocket.
Yeah.
But it's a cool painting. I don't think I would ever sell it. It's in a really cool frame. Like it was just a cool piece that I was like, this is dope. I'm going to hang it up. And like, now it's a story that I tell to people.
Right. Right. Hey, I'm curious, would you be able to date, this is a little bit different, but it's about this exact topic. Would you be able to date a girl who was not able to get into the nuances and the detail of these types of discussions, who was much more superficial or high level? Would that make you feel unattracted, or would you be okay with it? if everything else was good.
I think I'd be okay with it. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think you guys need to match on every single
I feel the
level.
same way, yeah.
Like,
I thought that too.
am I ever going to meet a girl that's going to want to eat every single thing that I want to eat? No. Is it going to be and is there going to be stuff that I don't want to do that the other girl wants to do? Sure. It's 100% things. Like, even now, I'm talking to somebody that is in the medical field, and like, sometimes like the medical stuff just kind of goes over my head, and I listen to her, and it's super fascinating. But like, it's just, I will never be able to get into it as much as she's into it. But it's nice to hear about other people's passions.
Oh, so, sure.
As long as she respects that I'm into those nuances, I would be okay with it. If she was just like, I think it's dumb.
Yeah. Or
I'd be
dorky.
like, all right, well, get out of here.
If you don't respect me for my interests, then I always thought I needed to date someone who I could have the kind of discussions that I have like with my mom, because I know the people that I click with very well, female or male, in terms of friendships, are people often I can get into really deep discussions with, whether it's about politics or philosophy or religion or whatever. But then I realized I like someone I can get into detail about life and relationships, and openly communicating about what our desires are and our wants are, and what our goals are in life, and that kind of stuff. That's very important, because that means you can have a good relationship. You can talk about anything. But in terms of like somebody I can talk about politics with, no, I have plenty of people I can talk about politics with. I don't need the girl that I'm with to be able to talk about her philosophy on, Putin and Zelensky and their relationship, and the matter of world affairs. It's like, I don't need that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I definitely think it's important, though, to have someone who's willing to challenge you, though. I definitely don't want to date a yes woman. I don't want someone who's just going to agree with everything.
Right. Has her own opinions.
Right.
Yes.
Which is important.
But if they don't have an opinion on a particular topic, like, are you Democrat or Republican? Do you follow one or the other? Do you believe in God or do you not believe in God? Sometimes those things can be important depending on how important they are to you.
Right, yeah.
Yes. And if they're both not that important to you, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is. It's just like, how important like being open and honest in like a relationship is. Like, even this is, it wasn't a planned segue, but like we had a pretty open and honest discussion last week. But like the girl I'm seeing now, I literally told her today, as of this recording. So it's an interesting situation. We can kind of talk about it on here.
Yes.
So she is going to be a pediatrician. And part of that process is she has to submit like a list of hospitals. She has to rank them 1 through 20 where she wants to go. And based on what hospital chooses her, she'll get matched to one of those hospitals. So like if the number one hospital wants her, she gets matched there. But if they don't want her, but the second one on her list wants her, like she goes there. So like the conversation, so like her number one is DuPont Children's Hospital. So the conversation today we had was, well, what happens if I match elsewhere? Like, what happens then? And I was like, well, I'm not the biggest fan of long distance, and I don't know, and we were just kind of talking about like how I don't know if it'd be best for her, whatever. We're not going to get into the details about it, but it was just refreshing to be able to have that conversation. To
not be afraid of having a conversation.
And to be open and honest and not hold anything back. And I told her that I appreciate that, that we can be open and honest with each other, which is one of the things like, again, like that we had last week, the conversation we had about a situation that you're in. It was just like, we were, I was like, it was just something I saw and I was like, this is how I feel about your situation. And like, I just want to make sure you don't get hurt or like, you know what I mean? And like, it comes from a place of care and love. And like, I even admitted, like I get invested, I get way too invested, and it's something I'm trying to work on, but it's comes from a place of love and a place of care.
Yeah.
And
there's nothing wrong with that.
I know, but it's like,
my critique is only that you become concerned more than the person is themselves. If they're willing to take a risk or they understand the details enough to be working out the situation as they see fit, and you feel like you have to be more concerned for them because you feel like there's an inevitable cliff ahead, which is not the case. My mom thought that about Jessica I was dating in Ecuador. Like, how do you not see this ending in a complete disaster? I'm like, it might not work out, but it doesn't mean we're going to be left totally heartbroken, aimless, and lost. It's like things happened the way that they did, and it was fine. If things don't always work out, and we handled it in such a way that it's fine. And the same thing could happen now in my current situation. But going back to this, with the girl you're dating now, would you have continued talking to her if you knew that this was going to happen at the very, very beginning?
So like, there's obviously a very good possibility that she's going to stay, and we'll find, as of this recording, we're going to find out on this Friday coming out.
Right.
So when this comes out, I will kind of have my answer, and I'll kind of give you guys the update, I guess.
But if you were matching with her on the dating app and you knew on her profile, she's going to have to make a decision in 3 months that's going to determine where she's going to live, either locally or very far away, would you have swiped left or swiped right?
I would have still swiped.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Because, but like, again, like if she does match elsewhere, I think, we both kind of talked about just, I think it's okay. It's still so early on.
Yeah.
That I think there's not a lot of like emotion tied to it. And I said, if we keep hanging out and like just doing this casual dating thing, I'll get way too invested. And I'm just not a fan of casual dating.
But if you decided to break up because it will be long distance, you're not so emotionally invested that you'd be completely heartbroken. You could make the decision mutually and just go your separate ways.
Right.
That'd be fine.
Right. So we'll see.
I was going to ask the same question about whether or not you could date someone and early on not know whether or not you wanted to marry them. If you're dating someone within the first 1, 2, 3 months and you just didn't have that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I could spend the rest of my life with this person, would you continue dating them or not? Should you expect to know if you want to marry someone that quickly?
I don't know about marry, but like, I think you should want to be with the person. I think, I think maybe those go hand in hand. I don't know, but like, I think you should want to be with the person. What about you?
Yeah, I have a weird feeling where I haven't experienced that sort of true love. I think that often people, not everybody experiences, but I'm often sort of holding myself to a standard of that, of either you kind of know that this is someone you could spend the rest of your life with or not. But I've also learned that some things take time to develop, feelings take time to develop, and give something a chance to breathe and not necessarily just jump right out right away because you're like, I don't know. I just don't know if I can marry you in the first 6 months.
Well, and that comes in different forms, right? Like I was talking to, one of our friends' girlfriends.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm very particular about my personal space and my personal time.
Right.
Like, I like my alone time. She's like, well, you'll meet somebody that like, that doesn't matter anymore. And it's kind of funny because like I think I told you, I was like,
I wanted to ask you about this.
I was like, this girl I'm talking to now, like 3 nights in a row, she just came over after I was done work, and we just watched like 4 episodes of Scrubs together, and she would just like wrap herself up in a blanket and lay her head on my lap, and like we didn't have to like talk or have any deep discussions. It was just comfortable. It didn't feel forced. And I was like, oh wow, for anybody else it would have been like, all right, like back up a little bit.
Yeah,
but like this was fine,
especially given that you really appreciate your personal time. It's funny, I felt the same way with Jessica in Ecuador, given that she did speak English, but we would go on long walks together through the city and often not talk very much, and I still felt content. Other girls I could be with, I'd be like, I just can't wait to get away. We don't talk about anything. But you have a feeling with someone you just like being with them. You can make them laugh. There's just a certain dynamic there. And I felt that way about other girls too. But Greg, actually, I wanted to ask you how, I know you and your wife dated for a long time, but was there a point that you knew you wanted to marry her, or that she's a person you could marry, or did it take you a while before you realized, okay, this is someone I could marry?
I think it took a while. I mean, it was one of those things where we were together for a long time. I was going over there pretty much every night, and then finally Kim was like, "Why don't you move in?" And I was like, "Well, I'll grab a few more clothes, and I'll have some clothes here." And then like it kind of just happened. Like I started staying there more often, and it didn't hurt the fact that it was like 5 minutes from my job, so I could just literally roll out of bed and like be at work. But
how long did it take before you felt that comfortable? You're like, I guess I could spend my life with this person in some way.
It didn't take long.
A few months? Really didn't. Within a few months?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say probably from when we met, it was a couple of years from when we met. So I think the big piece of it is letting yourself kind of, like you said, putting yourself out there, being willing to get hurt. That's a big part of it, I think.
Yeah.
And then maybe it'll work out. Maybe you'll find out that it's going to happen, and maybe not. I don't know. I feel like if you go in with the expectation, like, oh, I really shouldn't be wasting time if I don't think I'm going to marry this person, I feel like you're going to second guess yourself. You're going to just find flaws with everything and why you shouldn't do it. I don't know.
That was my problem, I think, in the past. It's a balance, though, because sometimes I knew this person I'm not going to fall in love with, you know. But there are other people I knew I had to give a chance to. So,
yeah, I mean, it's just, that comes in different forms, too. I mean, love comes in different forms. Like, you know, in the past, I've had that feeling of elation with people, but it just didn't work out. And maybe it was just, you know, it's just not the time or not the right time or not the right place, whatever. And like,
and given the fact that your parents have married early, your siblings are married, do you feel like there's any burden or expectation on you to get married, have kids by a certain time? Oh, I've got to just settle down with somebody no matter what. What it was.
I mean, we both grew up in a very Christian household.
Yeah.
A very Christian like environment where the thought was you get married by 25, you have your first kid by 30.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And like, even like now it's like even younger. Like now I see people in my church getting married at like 19 and 20 and having their first kid by like 21. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Do you think it's the sexual pressure?
I do.
Yeah.
The desire to have sex, and it's like, well, we can only have sex within the context of marriage. So
I think that's a big part of it. I think they use, but we really love each other. Like, you know, I don't want to talk crap on people at my church.
Well, it doesn't have to just be people at church.
But
There's lots of people who marry you early.
Yeah, you know? I think like, I remember like I talked to actually one of my pastors about this, and I was like, you know, there was a couple in our church, and they got engaged in high school. And they got pregnant almost immediately. And, you know, I was like, man, that's a lot. That's a lot. As an 18-year-old girl, you know, 18-year-old guy, it's a lot of pressure to have on yourself. Like, to just get out there. And I've also been somebody that's really loved my life. I've loved all the experiences that I have, that like, I'm really happy that I didn't settle down earlier.
I was going to say that. Yeah. You and I both have not found long-term relationships easily, so we've had to develop more time on our own and all that kind of stuff. And I'm actually very grateful for that, because I said I would rather get married or get into a long-term relationship later in life, because more things are established. You're more emotionally healthy, you're more financially stable. So if I'm going to pursue a possible marriage with someone, I would much rather it be when me and the other person are older and more established, because it's much more risky to get into that situation when you're 18, 19, because there's so much more to figure out, and there's a much greater likelihood that you are to get divorced if you marry early.
Yeah, you guys, I don't know, like,
it's a blessing in disguise.
Right. I mean, I don't know if you guys see it, but sometimes I see all the time, I feel like people put these unnecessary time constraints on themselves to get certain things done, you know? And like, I just, my biggest thing is like, I just hope people are doing it for the right reasons. That's it. Like, you don't need to get married by a certain age because you think you need to get married by a certain age. Get married at a certain age because you want to get married. Like, you don't, I don't know. Like,
and the timeline, even with dating someone for a long time, I think it's nice when you can just let the relationship breathe and be like, it's fine. We're dating or we get married. Doesn't really matter. We want to be with each other. So in either context, it's fine. I mean, there's certain other reasons why people get married. And
there are certain situations
where you don't feel pressure.
Dude, I know people that have literally gotten engaged 24 hours after meeting.
Yeah.
And they're still together.
Yeah.
They just freaking knew.
If you know, you know, right?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I mean, if someone's going to get engaged, I would hope that they're both talking about it before it happens. But anyway, I was going to talk about my situation, but I think I'll probably wait on that. I don't know who's listening now.
That's why I didn't get into it. Yeah. I didn't say what or who.
I like to. It's such good drama. So what? I mean, we can share the context of the situation.
Well, listen. So the context of our conversation, which got kind of heated a little bit.
Not on my side. It was just you. I was just listening.
Yeah,
I let you do your rant.
I did do a rant.
No, I mean, I listened. It's good advice.
And it helped a little bit. You said it helped.
It did.
I just always, the same thing. Again, the same thing happened with Cortland last year, where I was like, this is how I feel.
Right.
And like, yeah, at the end of the day, you're an adult. You're going to make your own decision. Like, you're a big boy. But like, I wouldn't be your friend if I didn't express concern like this.
Yeah.
And that's always my thing. I would want people to do the same thing to me. If they felt like I was doing something or like with somebody that they didn't feel like was like the right move, or for whatever reason, they saw something that they thought wasn't right, they're like, hey, Ruben.
My mom said something similar when I was dating Jessica from Ecuador, because she's like, look, I saw how heartbroken you were like 2 years ago because of something. Why would you get into something that you see has a very difficult potential ending or whatever? And I'm like, Mom, that's life. Like, I'm going to try, and I'm in a particular situation where I could make something like that work. I'm not going to just live my life being bored because I'm not taking risks and trying. Yeah, people get heartbroken, but like, it's a risk I'm willing to take. So I think I look at other people like that, like when you talk to Cortland and advise him on certain things, I'm just like, look, he had a situation last year you advised him on, it didn't work out, and he's fine. He's totally fine, you know? So I guess I don't worry as much as I think you worry.
Yeah, I mean, and he also admitted I was right.
Right. No. You might be right, but in terms of a concern of like, if you don't act on this now, it's going to be a total disaster.
I don't
it's like,
say
you're going to be fine.
I say things to think about.
Right.
And I used to say, these are things I feel like you should think about.
You were right, but it's not we realize the words are not going to change someone's courses of action. For the most part.
Right. And like what Cortland said was, it was a different perspective.
Yeah, which is great.
And I think that's important, because if you look through things through one lens, I think, you just have tunnel vision. Sometimes you need to look all around you.
My end point is that when you share a piece of advice, you don't have to be as emotionally invested. Share your piece, but don't be so concerned or upset about it, because it's not going to change the person's mind. They're going to still do what they're going to do, and they're probably going to be okay. That means you don't need to be as concerned about it. That's
right.
The point.
Right. I guess like,
and when I say you, I mean me. If I got emotionally invested in someone else and started telling them my opinion, I'm like, look, I don't need to do that, because they're probably going to be fine. They're not going to listen to me anyway, so I'll share my piece and just be chill about it,
Yeah, I guess like...
Why does it get you worked up?
It gets me worked up because it's like, I feel like it's obvious to a lot of other people too. Like, even with the situation with Cortland, like when I would always ask other people, how am I acting in this situation? I would say, am I warranted in my feelings or am I not?
Right.
Like,
that's a good question to ask.
And I would ask other people that were close to Cortland, and like when I told them the situation, they would be like, no, it's a good thing you're talking to him, because like it's concerning some of these things.
Right.
And like with you, like I said, I just hope there's deeper conversations going. That's all that was like, I think the biggest point, right? I think like the biggest point was not to do something because it's comfortable.
Right.
But to have better, bigger, deeper conversations with something that there already is an emotion invested in there.
Yes.
And because I had seen what it did in the past, that's why I got so worked up about this particular situation.
Right.
Because I was like, I saw how it affected you. I saw how hard you took it.
Right. You wouldn't want the same thing to happen again.
And that's why, because I was like, dude, like, when we first started hanging out, that was like the big thing. And so, I remember that. And I remember the car rides and stuff like that. So like, that was my big thing. I was like, I saw this happen.
Right.
Just putting it out there. Yeah. These are conversations that should happen.
And I appreciate that. Yeah. Which is good. It did make me think a little bit more. And I know that if
I haven't brought it up since.
Oh, no. You can bring it up anytime you want.
No, but I said my point.
Yeah.
I got my point. I said it. I said it. I feel way better.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be your friend if I didn't say it.
Right.
And so I think that's important with friendships, to be honest with each other about things like that. Even like, if you think, okay, if they're happy, great. But like, also like, hey, are you thinking about this from this angle or this angle? Like, it would be like if I looked at cooking just one single way and didn't listen to other chefs about how I can make my dish better, right? Like, as a chef, when I make something and I let someone else taste it, I'm like, what does it need?
Yeah.
Because like, I think it's good, but like, what would make it better?
Right.
And so I guess like I look at it from that perspective too.
Right. It's funny, my mom often is afraid to ask me about how I'm doing in my dating life, because I think she's expressed opinions before that maybe I've pushed back on in some ways, but I'm always like, Mom, you can ask me anything you want, but don't necessarily put your prescriptions or give me your prescriptions for how you think something should be done. Ask me questions about how I'm doing. If I think you're going to ask me a question about my finances or my love life to then give me your prescription about what I should be doing, that's annoying. Don't do that. But you can give advice if something seems really terrible or whatever. But the more you ask questions to someone about how they're doing, how they feel about it, what their concerns are, what the positive things are, you can help someone else figure out for themselves what they should or should not do without you prescribing something. And that's what therapists do. Like, good therapists will listen to you. They'll ask you how you feel about it. What are the good things? What are the bad things? And help you figure it out yourself instead of saying, hey, you shouldn't even be talking to that girl. They can't tell you that. They don't know what's going on inside your head or what your interactions are like with that person. But they can allow you to ask yourselves questions that help promote an answer in your own head. So that's what I try to do with my friends instead of, I have a friend who's dating a guy. Well, kind of dating a guy. Not really. He can't give her what she wants, Laura. And she doesn't listen. It's okay. And and she's talking to this guy, and she knows it. She knows she's talking to someone who can't really give her what she wants, but she loves him, and it's just hard to find other people like that. And she can talk to me about it as much as she wants. She knows what she's doing. She knows that it's a risk and that's it's eventual that maybe it won't work out, or she's not getting what she wants, or she's sacrificing something for someone that can't give her what she wants. And I know it. She knows it. I don't need to keep bringing it up. I just ask her, how are you doing? How's he doing? How are you? And it's her time to figure it out when she's ready.
Yes, yeah, I wouldn't do that.
It would drive you nuts. Would it drive you nuts?
I would, after the first couple of times we talked about it.
Yeah.
I would be like, dude, you already know how I feel about this, so there's no reason to have this conversation.
But you would never ask her how she's doing with him.
No. I mean, if it's the same.
Yeah.
Be like, no, then
Yeah, but I ask you how you're doing with the person you're dating. If it's good, why would you not ask her? Just because it's not something you agree with.
If she already knows it's not fulfilling in a certain way, that's not long term. I don't understand that mindset.
But
personally.
It's like you're not asking her about her life because it's a decision you don't agree with.
No, it's because she already knows how I feel about it. So if you're going to keep complaining to me about the same thing over and over again, at a certain point, it just falls on deaf ears.
Well, and from my perspective, she doesn't complain about it all the time. I just ask her, hey, how are you doing? How's he doing? How are you guys doing? You know what I mean? You wouldn't do that?
No, I mean, if she had already complained about him multiple times, I would be like, you're an adult. You can deal with that situation.
Yeah. I mean,
to be fair, I would do the same thing with Cortland. I'd be like, how are things? The same? Okay, cool. Let's move on.
Yeah. There's
no need to dive in deeper. If it's the same situation, if it's gotten better, amazing, awesome.
Right.
But
yeah.
If it's the same situation and and this situation's weird because I personally don't see the point of dating somebody if you had that feeling if somebody better came along, I would leave them.
Yeah.
That to me is a weird concept.
It is. It is when it's just hard because your brain is weighing the pros and cons. It's like, if I leave this person, I'm probably going to be single for a really long time and I don't know when I would meet the next person, even though it's likely. It's possible. Or I stay with someone who doesn't ultimately fulfill me. Maybe there's a chance something could happen, but at least I'm a little bit happier,
I guess to me, it just says you're just not okay being by yourself. You'd rather be in a relationship that's not fulfilling than just, be by yourself. And I guess again.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like with me, I even dating a girl in another country it was a very good relationship. I would rather that than no, I'm not going to meet another person like that for on average another 2 years. I would rather try with that than be by myself.
But if you already knew you weren't getting fulfilled, you would still stay with that person?
Well, that's assuming. Yeah, if I wasn't being fulfilled, after a while, I get a little prideful and I'm like, this is ticking me off. This person's not giving me what I want. You're out.
Right. The conversation.
Right. But not everybody's like that.
With you and can I talk about that at all? that situation, I never like had an issue with that either. Like that wasn't something that we ever had to talk about, except
Jessica in Ecuador, because we had a good relationship.
And that wasn't anything until like the end of it, where I was like, you were asking me about, what was going on, and I was like, I think you know what you want to do. You're just trying to get validation for it.
I don't remember. Was that before we broke up?
That was we sat in your car. Shout out to Tesla.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Tesla.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah.
But they should be.
Because I kept saying she was feeling really insecure often, and it was frustrating because I'm like, I'm doing everything right. I don't know why you feel insecure about it.
I was like, well, from my perspective, you're putting in so much effort and so much time to go there, to spend this time with her.
Yeah.
And it's like, that would annoy the crap out of me. It would be like, and that's what I said. I was like, dude, you're doing the right things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think she has any leg to stand on with feeling that.
Right.
Especially because, like, I know you were very open about who you're hanging out with and what your relationship is with that person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, with that, I was like, okay, like, that's dumb. But like,
so the girl I was dating in Ecuador, at the end of our formal relationship, she had expressed some insecurity about like, sometimes I feel like you're really cold with me and all this stuff, when from my perspective, I'm like constantly talking, initiating, when we can talk on the phone, like I'm being funny and sarcastic and we're joking and all that stuff. So to me, I'm totally blindsided by those sorts of comments. The thing is, though, I could empathize with her. I knew it was coming from a place of love, where you can be insecure about someone because you like them so much, you're afraid you're going to lose them. So this irrational insecurity comes out. And I knew that was the case for her. I had already spent, 4 weeks with her or whatever. So I knew how she felt about me, but it's still frustrating nonetheless.
Yeah, and I think it also came from a place where it was probably just like, realistically, how long can we keep this going?
Yeah, until we try to make it more permanent,
And I think that always creeps. I think that probably played into the insecurities, because that's huge, man.
That's huge. Well, maybe for her, I mean, that kind of stuff just doesn't bother me, because it's like there's no competition. If I was meeting new people here all the time, I'd be like, yeah, what am I wasting my time with somebody who lives really far away? But it's like, this person's in my life every day and they make me feel good, and I get to go visit them and work from their country whenever I want. So I'm like, I'm willing to take a chance and make something work, and everyone has to figure that out for themselves. So
yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah, even the situation that I'm in now, like, we've already had those open and honest conversations.
It's awesome.
Like, what would happen?
So
what are we going to do? And like, those are conversations that I was having with myself. And I was like, it's really great that we can have this conversation. Because, like, I'm someone who wants something a little bit more solid, long-term plan. You know what I mean? I want to be with somebody that, like, if within, like, the first, like, 4 to 5 weeks, like, I don't see it going anywhere, I'm not going to keep trying.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and be like, all right, well, like, maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll get better. I'll have the conversation once. Hey, I'll definitely try.
Yeah.
But like, the situation I was in last year with that girl I was seeing, we had a conversation, and a week later she did the same thing. And I was like, all right, well,
yeah,
this ain't working.
If you know there's a permanent roadblock in the future, or the same bad, unhealthy habits keep reoccurring, it's like,
yeah,
I'm out. And I'd feel the same way if I'm going to get hurt or I'm not getting what I want. Cool.
I think it's also all right, man.
Yeah. Let's switch it up. Current events. Kanye and Pete Davidson, the tweets that have been going on. Ruben,
Skeet.
I know you've got some thoughts on this. What do you think is going on with Kanye and Skeet Davidson? That's very inappropriate.
That's what Kanye calls Pete Davidson. Skeet.
Calls him Skeet.
It's interesting.
What happened?
So obviously we know that Kim and Kanye divorced.
Yes.
Or I don't know if they're actually divorced, but they are.
I think he finally signed the papers.
Right. Yeah. They are separated. They're not together. And like very quickly after that they separated, Kim Kardashian hosted Saturday Night Live, where she shared a kiss with Pete Davidson, and then that was like, oh, look at this. And then they started dating, which, like, good for them. At first I was like, this is weird, but like, I'll be honest, I've been very impressed by Pete Davidson.
Yeah,
I've been very impressed by the way he's been attacking it, and the way, not attacking, because he hasn't been attacking it. He's been very mature about the whole thing. And Kanye, something's going wrong mentally, man. The guy is going off the deep end.
Well, so I did research before this. I guess apparently he does formally have bipolar disorder and has had a lot of formal assessments, maybe some attempts at medication. But that obviously can wear on a relationship because you're acting like you're someone that you're not. Your moods are very erratic and obviously can take a toll on the person that you have kids with. So as she started to date other people and got into a relationship with Pete Davidson, it sounds like Kanye would confront Pete Davidson or Davidson or would be upset about the way they were interacting that might preclude him from hanging out with his kids or spending time with them, maybe because Kanye was being annoying. And so I guess after a while, Pete Davidson was very patient with him. In fact, I read that the messages that Pete had sent Kanye was like, hey, look, I've stood up for you on SNL. I've told them to stop making jokes about you. Like, I've stood up to you for you behind your back and tried to, like, to fend for you and your kids. But he's like, after a while, you keep annoying me. I don't know exactly what Kanye was doing. Calling stuff out on public social media, I guess. Talking about this relationship in a very public way when Kanye should have been doing it behind closed doors. And Pete said after a while, I can't be nice anymore, if you're going to keep acting this particular way.
Right. And he was like, dude, like, come meet me. We'll get, like, you got to get help. And I think that's important. It's hard when people can't. I think a lot of people are amused by this situation, but a lot of people are also genuinely concerned for Kanye West.
Sure.
Like, this is some erratic behavior.
Yeah.
And you can say whatever you want. Oh, well, Pete and Kanye were friends and da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, well, listen, man, like, if Kim Kardashian comes to me and is like, I want to date you, like, what are you going to do? Say no?
Yeah.
Or like she wants to hang out. Maybe at first it just did start off with her wanting to, like, escape reality for a second, be with a fun guy. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, I kind of like this guy. Whatever happened. But, like, I don't know.
Well, the point is that the public wants Kanye to get more help, I think, and he has to make the decision on his own. The problem is when someone has a particular issue and is unwilling to get help or thinks they don't need help, even after professional advice is recommended otherwise, that's where it gets frustrating, where it's like you have a problem that is not fully in your control. So we can't blame Kanye for his bipolar disorder. But when you have a problem that does have some solution and you're not willing to accept that you have a problem enough to find that solution, that's where the other people in your life start putting up roadblocks. They start shutting you out because you're now affecting everyone else's lives around you. He's probably affecting his kids' lives, Kim's life, people she's dating. And I feel for him, and I feel he's probably frustrated. He's probably upset. Oh, I can't see my kids, or you don't want me to come to this party, or this or that, or whatever. But it's like you're not willing to get help for an issue, and it's being taken out on everyone else. After some time, they can't deal with that anymore.
Yeah.
Do you take a particular side, or
no?
Greg either? No.
I don't get invested in Hollywood relationships. I just think it's fun to watch and, like, kind of see how it unfolds. I mean, I kind of feel bad for Pete Davidson, if I'm being honest, in this whole situation. Like, he's kind of gotten roped up into this stuff, and, like, he doesn't want to have to deal with that. But, like, he's a comedian, so you better believe that next stand-up special he has is probably gonna have sky-high ratings.
He'll have a lot of good material.
Yeah, so, like, it'll be interesting to see. And he hasn't been on SNL in a few weeks either, so it'll be interesting to see what happens when he does come back. And, like, it's always hard to tell with these Hollywood types and stuff, like what's for publicity and what's not. But,
I did want to ask one more question related to this. Would you date someone who had an ex-boyfriend, ex-husband who had major issues, anger problems, bipolar, was maybe kind of, maybe mentally psychotic in some way, and, didn't have as much control over their temper and their anger, and maybe directed that energy towards you? Would you be like, I'm out, even if the girl is amazing, or would you try to stick it out?
I don't know. I guess it would depend on the girl. I mean, I've been in that situation. And so,
I'm trying to remember because I feel like you did, but I don't remember the situation.
Yeah, I mean, this was years ago.
Oh, that was years ago.
This was when I was still at Two Stones, and the girl I was seeing was a server there. And one day I got pulled into the office, and they were like, hey, so-and-so's ex-boyfriend just came in here looking for you. He is circling the parking lot, waiting for you to come outside. So we call the police, and you have to stay in here until situations are even,
Wow.
It was weird. It was weird.
That's scary.
And so, like, I continued dating her, and then that relationship did not end well. But I have kind of a skewed view on that. So I would probably run for the hills.
Yeah. Well, that's probably why Pete Davidson feels so threatened, in some ways, even though he's friends with Kanye. But it starts to make you feel a little unsafe. So
it does. I think you got to be smart.
Yeah. All right, mental health check. I'm an 8. I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I'm doing good too, man. I'm at a 9.
You said your work has been better.
Work has been a lot better. I
9. That's a lot for you. That's like 6 to a 9. That's
good.
a
lot of things are going well. The TV show's going really well, which you guys are going to be featured on.
Hopefully we get off work. Yay.
Cross promotion.
That's right. Cross promotion.
Yeah, the show's going well. I guess we'll see what happens this week.
Good.
So we'll find out.
Good, man. Greg, what about you?
I'm going to bring the group down. I'm between like a 6.5 and a 7.
Because of work?
Yeah, just things, just too much, too many. Yeah, 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag. I'll just say that.
Is it more like interpersonal drama or just the stress of projects?
Just the stress of projects and things that are coming up.
Yeah.
The unknown horizon, the things that are just sitting on the horizon. Yeah.
And we always end up taking on more projects with a podcast stuff, but it's a distraction.
This is a labor of love.
This is truly a labor of love.
Labor of love.
So if you guys follow Greg,
the name of our next album.
I tag Greg in all of our Instagram posts, so you can follow him. I think it's G Alois.
That's it
on Instagram.
Or Giant G. I can't remember what it shows up
G
as.
Alois, I think is what I usually find. You can find us on Instagram at
Guys Who Cry Official.
Oh my gosh, sorry, my brain was really fried.
And our TikTok, which is Guys Who Cry Official 2396.
And what about our YouTube? I remember now. Go to our website.
GuysWhoCry.com/YouTube.
Greg, I got to figure out another fix for this thing. GuysWhoCry.com/YouTube. Please subscribe. We want to try to get to 100 subscribers by the end of this year. Let's try to do it by the end of this year.
Yes,
that would be awesome.
That's a good goal.
We post clips all the time on social media, so definitely check us out. And our Facebook, Guys Who Cry podcast. Awesome. Anything else you want to say, Ruben?
No, I think you have something you want to say to end this.
I just want to say. That's you. No, thanks for listening this week, guys. Tune in next week and be entertained.